You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders,
white congressmen, U.S. ambassadors, astronauts, Pulitzer Prize winners, all of the most brilliant minds that have studied through a lifetime of their history, brought you their stories, their cathartic moments, their research, their study, and distilled it down into, up to an hour that we call the Chris Voss Show, where we give you their data, share their minds with you, ask them the deep questions that we do on the show, and give you what some people refer to as the Chris Voss Show glow. It just adds to your intelligence in the show. So be sure to refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss. Subscribe to the big LinkedIn newsletter. I think grows like a weed every day. And then the 130,000 group over on LinkedIn. Go to youtube.com/Chris Voss. Chris Voss 1 on the Tickety Talkety. Chris Voss, Facebook.com if you want to talk the show around Facebook as well. We have an amazing story, an amazing gentleman on the show. He's done some interesting things in his life. He's come from $300,000 in student loan debt to becoming a thriving real estate investor and entrepreneur. So we're going to be talking to him about what he does. Dr. Jeff Anzalone is on the show with us today. He helps professionals shift their mindset to elevate health, maximize wealth, and enrich relationships. He is a periodontist who teaches a unique prescription for success centering on mindset shifts. Through his platform, debtfreedoctor.com, he empowers clients to elevate their health, maximize their wealth with real estate, and enrich their relationships to give them the life they want. And who wouldn't want that? Welcome to the show, Jeff. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks, Chris, for having me here.
Thanks for coming. We certainly appreciate having you. Looks like I already leaked out your .com, debtfreedoctor.com. Do you want any other .coms? Do you want people to follow you on the interwebs?
Pretty much all the links are on there for Instagram at Dr. Jeff Anzalone, and then the YouTube channel is Debt-Free Doctor Jeff Anzalone.
There you go. So give us a 30,000 overview of what you do over there in your words.
As you had mentioned, I'm a periodontist by trade, but I seek out real estate investments for my investors and bring those to them to allow them to acquire passive income streams so they can get out of the rat race.
Get out of the rat race. I've seen that movie before. So tell us a little bit about your journey. You have an interesting story of how you got down the road of going from, becoming a doctor and then eventually moving into real estate.
Yeah, I had a pretty traumatic accident the day before I turned 8. Your parents say you don't play with fire. Well, I didn't listen. So my friend and I, we made a little fire in somebody's backyard, and there was this big red can in the corner. We're like, hey, what is that? Why don't we pour it on the fire and see what happens? Well,
geez.
When we did that, guess what? Boom, it flamed up. I had 2nd and 3rd degree burns all over my legs. So anyway, I had to do, plastic surgery, skin grafting, had to learn how to walk again. But the plastic surgeon made such a impact in my life. That was really the first time I really been around.
Really?
Yeah. 8 years old, so Dr. Worthen, and I kind of knew at that point I wanted to be, something in the healthcare profession.
Wow.
As I got closer to when I got in college, I kind of thought back and said, during growing up playing baseball, football, basketball, all the dads that were dentists, they were coaching. They were at the games. They never missed a game. All the dads that were physicians, they were always working. So I was kind of like, okay, I like that lifestyle better. Went to dental school, got interested in surgery, oral surgery, decided to do a residency. And once I decided to come back here to my hometown, Louisiana, 2 weeks before I finished, I got a phone call, and basically the group pulled the deal off the table.
Oh, no.
You can imagine, having a 2-month-old, $300,000 in student loan debt.
Holy crap.
We'd already bought a house with the interest-only loan, and it's like, what the hell do you do? And I just remember just like I've never been that scared in my life. It was just like, they don't teach you how to run a business or practice in dental or medical school.
Yeah.
Long story short, I'm from a small town. Word got out. A guy reached out to me, kind of had the same situation. He brought me under his wing, showed me how to run the practice.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 years later, I bought a building, started my own practice. Well, back then, Dave Ramsey was like the only, quote, financial guru back then. This was like 2005, 2010,
Yeah.
He's the big get out of debt guy. So after 8 years, I was able to get out from under the debt, including the house. So I started that blog, Debt Free Doctor, to kind of teach people my journey.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it would be great, but I was like, well, okay, I don't have any debt, but I'm still having to go work. I still have to go treat patients to make money. 2 years later, we go snow skiing, get off the lift. The kid cuts in front of me. I swerve, about killing, and I fall. When I fall, my wrist bends backward. That wrist was my wake up call.
Yeah.
Because if Big Jeff can't use his hands, he can't feed the boys.
Yeah, that's true. As a doctor, your hands are everything.
So I was operating so risky, and you never think about getting hurt or anything. You're like, okay, I'm going to work for 4 years, right? So I started just scouring the internet, reading books, meeting people, and after about a year, two main things came about.
Mm-hmm.
Wealthy people, number one, they have multiple income streams, average of 7. Back then, I had 1. Number 2, wealthy people own real estate. So when you go ask somebody that's really wealthy, hey, what do you do? They don't tell you, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm a this. They say, I own. I own businesses. I own real estate. So that started to change my mindset, my thinking. Got into real estate. Now I'm teaching other doctors and dentists and high income professionals how to do the same thing. Not so much to go out and buy the Lambos and all that, but basically just to help mitigate your risk moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, when you really think about it, a doctor is like a football player. You muck up them hands, especially if you're like a quarterback, you got a real problem. I think the NFL discourages their quarterbacks from doing kind of some risky stuff in their sports and stuff. Maybe, I don't know. I think they can't ride motorcycles. I think some people can't ride motorcycles. If I recall correctly, there was something about that. Like McMahon, so some of the top quarterbacks weren't allowed to, according to their contracts, ride motorcycles or something that would be really dangerous. I don't know. I thought
my son's a quarterback here at the local college, and they're pretty, they're pretty much on top of them. Like, hey, discourage them from doing, the kids stuff. So I can only imagine an NFL quarterback.
Oh yeah, I mean, you wouldn't want him jumping out of planes or doing something really crazy. So this is great. So you take them to your website, Debt Free Doctor, and they can learn from you. They can coach. How do you have it set up? Do you have community coaching, individual coaching? It looks like you do a lot through your YouTube videos, et cetera, et cetera.
First thing I want to do is educate people. I just want to give them an option, because I wasn't given an option, and probably most of your listeners aren't. It's like, hey, Bubba, come on in here for 40 years. You're going to put your money in the stock market. And, man, when you're 70, you're going to be set. I'm like, well, what if I got a freaking hip replacement, a knee replacement? I can't go skiing or something. It's like, why do you want to live poor for 40 years and live rich for 10? You don't think? But that was the only thing that I was taught. So I'm giving people a different option. And I'm giving them articles. I'm giving them YouTube videos. I'm pretty active on Instagram. Just giving them information. Just to start them thinking differently about how they're making money. Most people are employees or they're self-employed.
Yeah.
Think about this. If you're listening to this right now, think about how long could you take off work? Is it a week? Is it a month? Can you take off a year? Most people say no, because they're trading their time for money. We're treating our patients for money.
Yeah.
If you get to the point where you start replacing your expenses with cash flowing assets, I've got a trailer park in South Louisiana that pays my mortgage.
Holy crap.
They don't teach you that in dental school,
Yeah. Yeah. And so basically, you help people make that transition and do stuff. That's one of the aspects that we've had people talk about in the show, where if you're one of the challenges with being a doctor or other businesses where you are the product technically, for the most part, being a doctor, or some people that are entrepreneurs, they are the company. Like me, I'd be a little hard to have somebody else do the Chris Voss show. It wasn't named Chris Voss, I guess. But this, you are the company. So if you try and sell it or do an exit, it has a more challenge to its value because you're the irreplaceable product in there. And you're right. If anything happens to you, you get sick, you go down for a while. A lot of entrepreneurs that run their own companies, they can't afford to get sick, and they can't afford to be down because they are the product or service. So one thing you talk about is holistic wealth, balancing health, relationships, and finances. Tell us a little bit about what that means.
Most people are searching out help in those three areas: health, wealth, relationships. That's it. Think about right now. If you have a problem, more than likely it's going to fall in one of those three buckets, and you have to sit down and figure out which of those three areas you need help in. It could be one, it could be all three. And it takes you just time sitting down. And, you may have a lot of money, but if you're working all the time, you don't have your health. What's the point?
That's very true.
If you're always out traveling by yourself, you don't have any relationships. So it kind of has all to balance out. So I'm really big on talking about looking in those three areas, especially if, with marriage. That's the most important decision probably you're ever going to make, because who likes to half their money? I don't. So.
I like how quickly you went, I don't. Yeah, I mean, that's a big thing for men nowadays. The divorce rate is extremely high. And I think out of all the divorces, out of all the divorces that are filed, 90% are filed by women in the educated class. By normal women, 80% are filed by women. There's something going on there, but that's for another show. But it's a thing where you've got to protect your assets, protect your liabilities, your businesses. I remember living in a state at one point when I was engaged to someone, and looked up the marriage, whatever codes, whatever rules and regulations, and realized that all of the companies I had in my empire that my business partner and I spent 13 years building, if I was to get married in those states, they would immediately become 50% shareholders in them. And I was like, what the fuck? So, you got to keep your head about you on that. So it sounds like you teach everybody all the different aspects of financial well-being.
Yeah, I'm more active on Instagram, showing sort of more of the lifestyle stuff. My kids are 16 and 18, and they were kind of like, Dad, you kind of got to show what you do. You just can't be at work all the time. So, I'm very active. I make it a point to work out, do something every day.
There you go.
Dentistry is very tough on the body. There's a lot of back, neck, shoulder, elbow. So I'm constantly stretching and working out. I recently started more focusing on counting macros and watching my food, and that was a game changer.
Yeah.
So you can't. What's the little thing? If you can't measure, what's the thing called?
Can't measure.
Can't improve what you don't measure.
Oh, that's true. Probably, yeah.
So if you never look at your bank account, then you probably don't have much in it.
Yeah.
If you never look at what you're eating, and once I started paying attention to that, and the thing is, it makes you become more disciplined.
Yeah.
Think about it. If you go to a doctor, and let's say you go to your physical, doctor gets your physical, and he's over there, and he's about 350. He smells like cigarette smoke. He's got the right here in the scrub pocket. He's got the ring, the skull ring, and he's telling you to eat right and exercise. You're like, I'm not going to listen to this bozo.
Yeah, I don't know.
So people respect people that look good, that are in shape. And it takes discipline. It starts there. If you're disciplined there, you'll get discipline in your finances, and you'll get discipline in your relationship. So it all kind of interconnects.
There you go. I think I see your trailer home park that's here.
Yeah.
in your Instagram. There you go.
That's one we just bought across town. So I'm excited about that because I'm getting my kids involved because
Mhm.
I don't want them to learn finances from the school system,
Mhm.
work their whole life. I want them to at least be exposed to being able to go buy something, provide a good product, affordable housing for people, treat
Mhm.
them right, learn how to market, sell, run a business. If it's not for them, that's fine, but at least they're going to be exposed to it.
Definitely. And so you're helping not only doctors improve their financial income, but they can improve the quality of their generational wealth that they pass on down to their kids and family. I think it's so important. There should be entrepreneur classes in schools. My employees used to always joke with me. They're like, if Chris ever has kids, they're going to they're all going to go to bed at night in double breasted suits, and he's going to read the Wall Street Journal, and he's going to read the Wall Street Journal to him. And today, honey, close your eyes. Today, honey, IBM was up 4 points. And then by 8, I think they used to joke. They're like, by 8, all of his kids will have a company, or else he'll put them up for adoption. He'll started a business at the very least, which is probably true. I mean, why not? I mean, it was better than what I did with my kids originally. I just sent them all to military school till they're 18. So I moved a couple times, so they haven't been able to find me when they get out. But no, I love what you're doing here. And, you're talking some of the things that you posted on Instagram, you're talking about some of the confusion of different things here. Some people saying a house is a liability, house is an asset. Grant Cardone says don't buy a house. That's because he wants you to buy into his fund to buy houses for him. I mean, he's a good guy, but don't use the FHA. Use the FHA. There's a lot of stuff going on with the markets and everything else. And have you run into setbacks? Any setbacks or challenges in your investment journey, and how'd you overcome it?
Yeah, I sure have. If somebody tells you they have it, then they're lying because everybody's failed, right?
Yeah.
There's something called crowdfunding, and that's how I first started real estate. And that's
Oh, really?
basically you look at a website and they have these properties, and the way that I was originally picking them was, oh, that looks good. That has some really high numbers. I'm going to invest there. And I did a couple of small deals and they worked out well. So Big Jeff decided to go big with 50 grand.
Oh.
Yeah, with a Tulsa, Oklahoma apartment complex.
Uh-huh.
Little did I know, they did not disclose they were in the hood. They bought in the hood. Everybody's moving out because everybody's getting shot. So the guy buys the building and goes, I'm going to really fix it up to get people to move back in. Well, we didn't know that. He runs out of money. All the investors lost their money, including my 50 grand.
Oh, no. That is not cool.
So that taught me a lesson. Now I don't invest online, and I only invest because I get to meet the people. I go to their property. I know where they live. I know if something happened, I know where to go get my money.
There you go. I know where to go get my money.
Where to get my money? You see my last name, Anzalone, little Cecilia. I can call Frankie. Take care. I got baseball bats over
there. Pound a few rusty nails through that thing too.
Bada bing.
There you go. Bada bing, bada boom. I learned that too over the years of business. If you don't own it, you don't control it. It's just such a high risk thing to get lost, between shitty partners and God knows what else. It's just
Chris, how many times have you heard somebody say, man, I was going to retire this year, but the stock market was down. I got to work another year. So there's no control with that. Here, you got control.
Mm-hmm.
People are bitching about inflation. Well, you just raise your rents. You have control. No, I'm not being mean. I'm just saying, because when you're going to a restaurant right now, they raise food prices, right? Because the vendors are, so you're just passing along to the customer. Well, you have control in your properties versus stock market and things like that. You have no control. So is this for everybody? No. But people that want to really gain wealth, and I haven't even gotten into the tax benefits, which we can talk hours on that, but if you teach your kids how money works and how taxes work, they'll be set. And learn how to sell, game changer.
Definitely. I mean, the tax base for, is the real hidden benefit, I think, of real estate. People don't realize the depreciation, the write-off, or the interest write-off and stuff. And it's a slow, steady thing. It's not a high risk, stupid thing like crypto.
Yeah, I didn't even understand. I remember when I bought this building, my accountant said, "Okay, we're going to do a straight line depreciation, 27 and a half years." And all that. I went over my head. I'm like, I don't know what to talk about. But now I get it. I mean, you can buy something. You can buy a building. You can buy a property, and the wear and tear. The roof is not going to last forever. The floors, the walls, the fixtures. So the IRS allows you to write off the wear and tear of a property that's going up in value. I mean, that's the best thing since sliced bread. And if you play the cards right, you can take the write-off, the depreciation, and offset your income.
Yeah.
I mean, I teach that all day long. And you do it right and you follow the rules. Think about not having a tax bill.
Oh, that's heavenly. That's the whole beauty of it.
Yeah, and that's what the really, really wealthy people do. The problem is most people out there, they think, oh, that's just too hard to do or whatever. It's not. There's like the tax code is like, I don't know, 3,000 or 4,000 pages. Only 15 pages, Chris, teach you how to pay taxes. The rest tell you how not to pay taxes.
That's
they give it to
interesting.
you.
I didn't even know that.
They give all the benefits to real estate investors. Why? Because the IRS, the government, doesn't want to be landlords. They give all the tax credits to people like you, business owners. Why? What do? We hire employees. What do employees do? Pay taxes. Right? So if you're a business owner or start a business or you own real estate, you're going to get but most people aren't. Most people are employees and they're bitching about all the taxes. But I mean, I'm telling you, if you want to have control of your finances, it's all you have to do. And freaking everything I learned is online. I make more money outside of my practice that I went to school 12 years after high school.
Then $300,000 worth of student debt.
Yeah. I make more money than all the stuff that I've learned online for free. If I went to college right now, I wouldn't even go to college. I wouldn't. And I tell my kids, like, that's fine. It's insane. Dude, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have cell phones.
Yeah.
I mean, I had the Britannica Encyclopedia. So I wanted to know what crypto was. I had to go get the CR and open it up. And now it's like, hey, Siri, crypto, bada bing,
Bada bing. The other great thing about the business of real estate is, if you create any other sort of business, you've got to know, all the aspects of business, marketing, startup, foundational. There's things that can go wrong. There's stuff that you got to innovate. You've got competition. You've got, there's a million ways to die in starting up a normal business. With real estate, it's very simple. You buy a home and you try and make a smart purchase, I suppose. And then you rent it and, you follow some different kind of rules and guidelines on renting and, fixing stuff up and whatever the case is. But it's not like a business that, you're just like, no one ever says, hey, did you went bankrupt on that home? How'd that happen? I don't know. Amazon came along and outbid me on the business, it was stuff like that. Yeah. It's a very, I don't want to overplay it by saying simple, but it kind of is compared to the shit that I do since 18, where I've been running companies.
Yeah. I mean, you could go get your kid because, we got all this 529 money. Now, one of my kids in college, it's like, well, he was one of the valedictorians. So we've got all this money. Well, they allow you now to go buy a house. Like if you wanted to go, so we're going to buy him a house. And guess what he's going to do? He's going to rent out the other 2 bedrooms. And he's there you go. He's started his, and I'm going to teach him how to do that. Now he's renting a house He's a landlord. And you can do that. It's as easy as that. Right now, if you're living in a house, you rent out your room.
Yeah.
Make sure you know who you're renting it to. But yeah.
And if he's in college still when he does that, is that what he's going to be in college still?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the money they charge for those college rooms, freaking insane.
It is crazy.
My friend, he had to send his daughter to college, and so he did the same thing. He got her a place, and the money that they wanted for stuff, and then what she was able to rent it out was more than what it cost for me to live. And I'm like, what's going on over there? It's like a mansion. What the fuck is? But it's in a college town, so
yeah.
Yeah.
Think about the system we're in. They put us through the system. You have to study hard, make good grades, go to school, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get out, you got all this debt. Well, you're locked in. The American dream is to buy a house, which is total BS because they say that's your best investment. So you got to be in the system. People don't want to take risks because they're so locked in. And I'm giving people now a different outlook. If I could go back, I would do things differently. And that's what I try to teach is a different type of lens of looking at things, and once you do that, it's, I remember when my son, he's 16, we were going to Dallas. He was like, I don't know, 10 or 11. And he's like, we passed like this huge apartment complex on the side of the interstate, I-20.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, Dad, dang, look at that. I was like, what? He was like, look at that big old apartment complex. It's like, yeah. He's like, can you imagine how much money the guy's making that owns that? I was like, dude, you're 11 and you get it. And it took me till I was like 40 to get it, It's just a different way of thinking,
And so it's a mindset,
I lived in an
really.
apartment for 11 years and I never thought about that. Looking back, I would have been dangerous.
I remember when I first bought my big home, and I just went right from I just skipped starter home right to a big home, and our companies were doing well, and I remember buying the home, and a month later thinking to myself, I bought this beautiful place in a canyon overlooking a reservoir, and just it was one of a 3-car garage, the big windows in the back, and I mean I could throw parties with hundreds of people there. And I remember thinking about a month afterward, like, what did I just do? I'm a single guy and I just bought this giant home just for me. And I should have went over to the lower income part of town and I could have bought 5 homes, 5 starter homes, cookie cutters, the ones people start out with. I could have bought 5 of those for what I paid for this thing. And I'm like, I could have bought 5 homes, lived in one, and then rent out the 4 other ones and have a future, as opposed to this one that's now going to eat me alive.
Yeah.
And I thought, what the hell was I doing? But hindsight's 2020.
And that kind of leads me into like the basic rule number 1 that people, I wish they would have taught this in high school. You got to know the difference between an asset and liability. Most people think your house is an asset. And I say, well, what's the definition? That's assets, put money in your pocket. Liabilities, like my wife, take money out of your pocket, okay?
I was going to do that joke, but you beat me to it.
So when I tell people that, I said, okay, now that you know that, is your house putting money in your pocket? They're like, well, no, but it goes up. If I say, no. Unless you're renting it out, unless you're renting out rooms or you got, I want to put like 15 RVs in my front yard. We got 2 acres. My wife won't let me do it because she said neighbor's a bitch. But I'm like, hey, who cares? But anyway, unless you're putting money in your pocket, taking money out, right?
Yeah.
Your house.
Yeah.
So why is that your best investment? Well, what is the government and the banks and the IRS? They want you to get the 50-year mortgage, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, go get the house, bro. Give it to the bank. As soon as you give your money to the banks, boom, it's gone. They're buying real estate with your money. They're giving you 0.1%.
Oh yeah, totally. It's not the greatest investment in the
world.
world.
When I look back at how much we've been screwed, it's just like, man, I was a sucker.
Yeah. It's sad they don't teach this stuff in school, but it's for someone else's benefit, not your own. But you've gotten savvy to it, and thankfully you've taught your kids not to join into the slave ship system of just, go get a job and work for, billionaires. Work for yourself and do your own thing, especially if something happens to you, then you're covered. Some other questions I had for you. Uh, let's see. What are some common misconceptions about financial freedom that you've encountered?
That it's too hard to do. That
Hmm.
that financial freedom will come in 30 or 40 years when the financial advisors tell you it is. Really, that's what we think.
Yeah.
We don't say, like, if you got out of school and somebody said you could be financially free in 8 to 10 years, it'd be like, well, my financial advisor says I need $5 million. I can't do that.
Yeah.
So that's a misconception. It's no, it's not at all. You get out. Like, I remember the first time I got out, and once I got over that $50,000 loss, I started investing in what I mainly do now, real estate syndications. That's
Uh-huh.
where you put money in a group investment, like an apartment building, a mobile home park, RV park, or whatever. And when your money's sitting there, you get passive income quarterly or monthly.
Hmm.
And back then, I was getting a monthly. My first check was $333.33. I put 50 grand in. I was getting paid 8%. Okay, that's $333.33. I was like, wait a minute, that just paid my internet and electric bill. And then I did another 50 grand, and I was another 330. I'm like, so it was almost like the Dave Ramsey debt snowball in reverse, because now,
There.
now I'm like, okay, this is paying my gas bill. This is paying this bill. So it's like you slowly start to replace yourself with other things paying your income. And again, that's a different way to think about money. And
Mhm.
the quicker you do it, the most important thing is you have control of your time.
Definitely. And time is one of the few finite things, or it's not one of the few finite things, but it's one of the most important and finite things that we have. You only have so much time. You have so many weeks on average in your life. Time is everything. And especially when you're in your situation where you're, juggling your work that you're doing and everything else, and then you're trying to earn money on top of that. And the great thing about the passive income of real estate is it can work that time clock for you and make it so you can get around it. So how do people onboard with you? How do they reach out to you? How do they find out if you're fit? What are some different ways that they get to know you better and onboard?
Like I said, I'm most active on Instagram at Dr. Jeff Anzalone, or they can
Mhm.
check out website debtfreedoctor.com. My YouTube channel's on there. I'm publishing about 2 YouTube videos a day. The way that I get content is people like ask me questions. Hey Jeff, how do I invest in an RV park, or what's the cap rate, or how do I do passive income? And I take my questions and I turn it into content. I'm giving the people what they're asking for.
There you go. You got a free guide to passive income on your website?
Yep, they can go to debtfreedoctor.com. Right there in the middle, passive income guide. That'll get you started. We'll start sending you out emails, free information, and away you go.
There you go. Now you have funds set up where people can do investments with you.
Yeah, if they want to invest in projects alongside of me,
Hmm.
they can do that, and they just put their money in, and then basically we pay you a return. We
Hmm.
shoot to double your investment about every 5 to 6 years.
Wow, it's pretty damn good.
If you don't want to do that, I'll teach you how to do it. Where if you want to be an active investor, teach you how
Hmm.
to do that too. So again, you have 2 pathways.
You got full control there, and you got an investor log on your site, education hub, and all that good stuff. So this is pretty amazing, and you teach people through this whole thing. Is there a minimum accreditation they need to have as investors, if you're, or to be coached by you?
If you want to invest alongside of me in my deals, you have to be an accredited investor. If
Hmm.
you want to go invest on your own, we teach you how to do that. You don't have to be an accredited investor.
Okay. Okay.
I will tell you guys, if a redneck from Louisiana can do this, like literally all I could used to be able to do is turn a computer on. And I taught myself, if you go back to the one skill that started this is the reason why Chris and I are talking right now. is I learned how to start a blog for free online. That's it. I started debtfreedoctor.com, and then it just kept on going. So I encourage you, if you have a skill or if you're interested in doing something as simple as starting a blog or a YouTube channel. I mean, think about what you do for a living. Think about what you know. Like my dad has a hardware store. He can fix things. I'm encouraging him to start a YouTube channel where he shows how to fix stuff. I can't fix nothing, but anybody can provide value to people. And the more value you can provide people, the more money you make.
Most definitely. Yeah. I mean, that's providing value. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, this has been super insightful to have you on the show. Give us the .com one more time for fun as we go out.
Debtfreedoctor.com.
There you go. Thank you very much, Doc, for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
There you go. And thanks to my audience for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, youtube.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss. Subscribe to the big LinkedIn newsletter. Comes out every weekday. People love it for some reason. Well, it's us. What can you say? The big 130,000 LinkedIn group. Chris Voss, Facebook.com, and Chris Voss 1 on the Tickety Talkety. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys next time.